Hi, my name is Abby Wynn. I'm a healer. I use a mixture of psychotherapy, shamanism, and energy healing. And I've been in private practice for, I'd say 12, no, coming on 14 years. I've published more than 13 books. I have three traditional publishers and I've been self publishing. And I do a lot of group work. So I have over 100,000 people connected to me on Facebook, but I have a healing circle of around 50, 60 people, and I connect in using healing programs. I do a lot of online work. I've been doing a lot of online work since before all the COVID stuff because I'm very sensitive to energy, and I found that I could clear myself quicker if the client was not in the room with me. So I also find that having a track record, having books, having a social media presence means that the clients that come and see me on Zoom hit the ground running. And so they're very intense. But I do a lot of healing work for friends and families. I've trained a lot of healers, and I have a lot of healers who are friends. So I support a lot of people, as I'm sure you could imagine. And so when my friend Mark Atwood got an Orynoco healing pod in his new healing centre in Boyle in Roscommon, it stuck in my head as a thing I wanted to do. I wanted to see it. I was like a kid. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And I eventually got to sit in his healing pod. It was a couple months ago. It was only a couple months ago. But it was such a profound experience. It was just me and the pod for about an hour. First thing that happened was my entire body just flopped, totally flopped. And then it was as if all of the heavy energies that I was carrying, all the work I'd been doing, just kind of lifted up in a big bubble all the way through me and out from me. And I felt so light and so much more present, which is great. I mean, also being in the country is good for me because I'm surrounded by people in Dublin and Ireland. And so, again, I'm very sensitive, so I can feel the guy next door changing his mind. So, anyway, this Orynoco was incredible. And it only took, I would think, 15 minutes to clear me. And then it wanted to go on a journey with me. And it was like, oh, okay. So I closed my eyes and went on a shamanic journey with the Orynoco. And I feel that there are beings of light connected in very strongly to the frequency and vibration of the consciousness that this Orynoco is connecting in from, and they really want to help. They're deeply, deeply connected into water, which I find very interesting because of the name. Orynoco is a river. And I found myself in the river outside of the healing centre in Boyle, doing healing on the water with the beings of the Orynoco. And it was like, wow, it was incredible. So that was great, and I came home and I started feeling cruddy and yucky again. And so in my mind I visualized myself sitting back in the Orynoco in Boyle, and what happened was this wave of energy just came through me, and it was like, do you know, like on the Wizard of Oz, all the munchkins going yee, and it was like all of this around me. It's like, oh, we were hoping you would do this, and I'm like, oh. And then they did a clearing on me. It was just superb, absolutely superb. So then I said, right, I have to see if I can get one of these. So I wrote to Malcolm and we had a chat, and he sent me two different kinds of Oronocos. I'm just blown away by, how all of this works. So I have a pod, and you might be able to see, oh, there's two of the parts of the pod. So I have a pod which is just exactly what I was using in, and I don't even like to say using because I don't use my friends. It really feels like it's a layer of consciousness that connects to us and speaks to us, depending, of course, on, where you are yourself. Because, as Malcolm has said to me, there are people who sit in it and don't have all this conversation and get brought on these deep journeys and stuff, but they just feel better, or their grandmother comes to visit them. And it's just very different experiences for different people. But it was as if the Orinoco connected through me and told Malcolm I had to have one. So I got an Orinoco pod, and I was blown away. And it arrived And I had it in my house and it wasn't happy. It was not happy in my house. So my house is a 3 bedroom house, and there's 5 of us there. There used to be 6 people in a 3 bedroom house. So you could imagine I needed my own space to work. So after about 4 or 5 days moving the Orynoco pod into different places, and it actually kept me wide awake one night saying, no, I'm not happy here. And I'm like, okay, okay. I moved it to my office and it's like, oh, this is where I want to be. So my Orynoco, and I don't even, again, I don't own it. It doesn't feel like it belongs to me. It feels like it's very much of its own self, and it's chosen to be here. And for as long as it chooses to be here, I feel very blessed. And it has started to support me in what I do. I've just been sitting in it there for about half an hour and did a huge energy clearing in it, and reconnection to the Earth Star chakra, to the galactic sun. I opened up all of my energy centers and I brought it into the collective consciousness of the planet. So over Christmas, the Orynoco that's in my office, maybe I should give it a name, connected into the fields of Ireland, connected into Dublin, and connected into the building, into the street where I'm living in, where the office is. And I come into my office and the energy is different. It's calmer. My office is small and it's in a building, lots of people there. So again, it wasn't a sanctuary for me. And having the Orynoco pod here is turning my office into a sanctuary. So it's not just here for me alone, and as a host of the Orynoco pod, I want to share it with people, but not with the general public, I'm afraid, because again, I'm very particular as to who I let into my space. So I have friends, as I've said, who are healers, and I've had 3 or 4 of them come and have sessions with the Orynoco, and each one of them has been blown away. And then my brother was sick. He got a diagnosis. He was anxious. He, at the best of times, is 100% stressed all the time. And I brought him in here and he used the Orynoco, sat in it. I have to stop myself doing that. He sat in the Orynoco, and it was like my husband said, now take his phone off him because he's going to sit there. There's no way he's going to sit in the Orynoco pod for 40 minutes and not look at his phone. And I said, no, he's an adult and we're all adults and we have to trust each other. So I came back after 40 minutes and he was still in the exact same position that he was in when I left. And he said he had an entire 40 minutes of peace and calm. He felt his anxiety dropped right down, and he didn't touch his phone. And I'm like, that's the most incredible thing that I've ever heard, that he didn't even want to pick up his phone. Only he was beginning to feel antsy after 40 minutes and wondering where I was. And then I just showed up because I felt that it was time for me to show up. So I'm excited to see where the Orynoco and I go over the coming months, the kind of things that we do together. I've actually went out and bought a color printer. So I'm printing out photographs, color photographs of people who have sat in it, so that the Orynoco go, oh yeah, I know these guys, and then I can leave them in the pod while I go off and do different things, and then they can receive the healing. I'm finding that when these people are aware they're in it, it's much more of a deep and meaningful experience. Like my brother, again, because he'd had an operation, I said, I'm going to put you in the Orynoco pod, put his picture in, and he's aware of it, and he closes his mind's eye and he can visualize himself in here in the pod. And he says it's really helped him get through a difficult part of his life. And I'm feeling the Orynoco is helping me support more people. So I'm going to be, again, experimenting as I sit in the Orynoco pod and hold the energy of someone else and bring in pictures of people who have maybe never sat in it before, or use it to facilitate me doing my group work. I don't know. But I will sit with the Orynoco and ask it what it thinks I should do next, because I'm feeling greatly honored to be connected to this superb group of ascended beings who want to come here and help us through this actual physical experience of sitting in what is called an Orynoco pod. Now, for the most part, for me as a healer, healing has been very, well, it's tangible because I can connect into it, but for many people, they have trouble. They want to hold something in their hand. like a crystal, something real. And the Orynoco pod is real. And the beings are very real. But to hold something in your hand that's real, to sit down for a dedicated amount of time and connect into a layer of consciousness, it's just the most beautiful experience. And I want to thank all the guys in the Orynoco, the workshop, for putting it together, and particularly want to thank Malcolm for being such an incredible new friend. And I love my Orynoco. I absolutely love it. And I highly, highly recommend that if you feel you need energetic support, if you want help to connect into guides at a deeper level, I mean, if you're energy sensitive and empathic and need help to clear yourself, I mean, I go to healers all the time. I need to go to healers. And as I change and grow, I'm always chopping and changing my healers. And I'm feeling, wow, the Orinoco is meeting me where I am. And I won't need to do that anymore. I could just sit in the Orinoco, and it's making my office into a sanctuary. It's making me, and Malcolm has told me that one of his hosts has an Orinoco in his home where he has a sick parent, and it's changing the energy of the house. So, there's lots of different applications for this. I'm gushing. I could go on and on for hours, but I just wanted to say that I think this is the most incredible piece of healing equipment that I've ever come across. And I highly, highly recommend that if you're listening, if you're still here listening, that you look up where the host is, look up, give Malcolm a shout, organize to get some time with this, because it's incredible. It's beautiful. And it's where we're all going as a collective. It's where we're evolving. It's the way we evolve. I think the Orinoco, the beings of light, I think they are part of who we are and where we're going to. And they're here to help us shift out of the dross and the heaviness and the difficulty of this hatching out period that we're all in, to help us bring in more light. So thank you for listening. And I hope you are inspired and go and try it for yourselves.